I found out my husband was cheating on me with our son's girlfriend. The betrayal cut deeper than I could have imagined, especially when I learned the extent of his deception. Now, I'm struggling to figure out how to tell my son and pick up the pieces of my broken family. For the sake of privacy, I'll be using pseudonyms in this post. I'm a 41-year-old stay-at-home mom, and my husband, Paul, 48, works in finance. We've been married for nearly 2 decades. We have 2 children, Eric, our 18-year-old son who's finishing high school, and Mary, our 15-year-old daughter. They are the center of my world. Over the years, my marriage with Paul has grown distant and unfulfilling for many reasons. His demanding job and the way my appearance has changed with age, to name a few. Eric has been in a long-term relationship with his high school sweetheart, Amy, 18, since their freshman year. He loves her deeply, and I've always treated her like family. Which makes what I've recently discovered all the more devastating. Last week, I accidentally saw a message pop up on Paul's phone from Amy. What I read stopped me cold. She was saying how she missed performing a sexual act on him. I was in complete disbelief. I tried to convince myself I must have misread it. But deep down, I knew what I saw. Over the next few days, I found more damning evidence, a folder on his computer full of BDSM pornography, saved photos of Amy, thankfully clothed, but still deeply inappropriate, and more explicit text exchanges between them. Their conversations were not only sexual but also cruel. Paul insulted me, calling me old and fat, while Amy laughed along. I've always had a gut feeling that Paul might have been unfaithful, but nothing could have prepared me for this kind of betrayal, not just of me, but of our son. A month ago, I found a thong in our bedroom that wasn't mine. I ignored it, even telling myself it might belong to our daughter, even though that clearly made no sense. I was in denial. Now I know the truth. Paul isn't just cheating, he's crossed an unforgivable line with someone who is essentially like family, and he's violated our son's trust in the most despicable way. I'm shattered. I don't think words can fully describe the storm of grief, rage, and disbelief I feel right now. I know I need to act, but the thought of telling my son, of having to explain this nightmare, is paralyzing. The emotional toll this will take on him terrifies me. I wouldn't wish this situation on anyone. I still can't believe I ended up married to someone capable of this level of deceit and betrayal. That's when my thoughts started spiraling. I began to realize that Paul's behavior noticeably shifted around the time Amy turned 18. Was he deliberately waiting for her to become a legal adult before starting this affair? The implications are deeply disturbing, and I feel completely overwhelmed, paralyzed by the fear, confusion, and dread. None of this feels real. How did things get to this point? Was I truly so blind, so foolish, that I missed what was happening right in front of me? Eric truly loves Amy, and the idea of telling him the horrifying truth absolutely breaks me. The emotional damage this could cause him is unimaginable. My heart is heavy for both Eric and Mary, neither of them deserves to be caught in the middle of this nightmare. I haven't confronted Paul yet, because I'm honestly terrified of what could unravel once I do. I'm lost on where to even begin or who to talk to about this. I'm not sharing this for pity, I just need to feel understood, and maybe hear from others who have endured something this painful. Thank you for being here. Additional details. I didn't go into this part earlier because I didn't want to bog down my initial post with too many specifics. But since it's come up, I'll explain. I saw the message on Paul's phone accidentally. He was using his iPhone, and while the iMessage app wasn't actively open on the screen, it was still running in the background. You know how when you swipe up, it shows all the open apps? Well, he was compulsively closing out all his apps, like he usually does, and I caught a glimpse of the messages as he did that. It wasn't like he had the texts open in plain sight, he simply forgot that app was still running, and that's how I saw it. Also, I did mention in my original post that I looked through his phone again on a separate occasion to confirm what I saw. So to clarify, I'm not changing my story. I've been consistent, I just didn't go into every detail right away. Additional update from the original poster, OOP. Thank you all so much for the overwhelming support. I truly appreciate every message, and I'm sorry if I haven't been able to reply to everyone privately yet. There's just a lot happening right now, and I'm working through everything step by step. I'm trying to approach this nightmare carefully and thoughtfully, even though it feels surreal. I want to clarify something important. Not telling my son was never an option I seriously considered. If I gave that impression, I apologize, it was never my intention. What I meant is that I'm dreading that conversation with every fiber of my being. It's going to be one of the hardest things I've ever had to do, but I know it must be done. It's just one of many painful steps I'm preparing to take. Right now, I'm keeping up appearances and gathering as much evidence as I can, so that I'm fully prepared for whatever comes next. My top priority is keeping myself safe and making sure I stay protected throughout this process. I'll share a more detailed update as soon as I'm able. But please know that your kindness, encouragement, and empathy have truly meant the world to me. You've made me feel less alone in this storm. Thank you. Update. My brother put me in touch with a very no-nonsense, aggressive attorney. I've been gathering evidence, including screenshots of all the messages between my husband and Amy, though I could only recover the last 3 months from his iCloud. Most of their conversations were explicit and flirtatious, and reading them was both nauseating and heartbreaking. I also saw multiple messages where they spoke poorly about me. His call logs show frequent, hours-long conversations with her. On top of that, I discovered he's active on dating apps and uses filters to target girls around 18 to 22 years old. I documented everything, including his dating profiles and chats. I also copied all of the data from his computer. He visits sex chat rooms and forums, and spends a significant amount of money on OnlyFans. I searched the house thoroughly and found hidden items, various sex toys, blindfolds, cuffs, lubricants, and a few costumes, including what looked like a Catholic schoolgirl outfit and a French-maid costume. After picking up Eric and Mary from school, I drove us to my brother's house. They sensed something was wrong immediately. I gently explained the situation, and I couldn't hold back my tears. Mary was especially furious, more so than Eric. I also spoke to Amy's mother and told her everything. She took Amy's phone and gave me access to their message history, which, like my husband's, only dated back 3 months, probably because they had both deleted older messages. Amy reportedly broke down crying when confronted. She told her mother that she and my husband were in love, insisting that no one could understand their bond. I won't go into too many details, but it seems clear that my husband positioned himself as a mentor and emotional support for her, knowing she came from a difficult home life, and then gradually crossed the line. Amy claimed their relationship only became physical and romantic recently and that, before that, he was simply a trusted friend and guide. I confronted Paul via Zoom. His reaction was disturbing. His face turned red, he was drenched in sweat, and he looked absolutely panicked and furious. His voice was aggressive and erratic. He kept shouting the word context again and again, denying everything in a confusing, stammering rant that made little sense. I didn't tell him where I was. He accused me of kidnapping his kids and then abruptly ended the call. My lawyer is filing for temporary sole custody of Mary and a restraining order. Mary is still the most angry. She's totally furious with her dad and Amy, justifiably so, of course. Mary is recollecting moments and times she watched her dad interact with her friends and she's in knots about it. Eric is very clearly hurting, but he's so strong and very level-headed. He wants to see a therapist. The maturity my kids are showing makes me proud. They don't deserve this at all. We made the authorities aware of everything. I plan on being completely unforgiving and ruthless in this divorce. I'm reflecting on how I've been treated and how it's made me a shell of myself and how I've had a very negative opinion of myself because of him over the last 20 years. I don't want to let this scumbag get away with it. I want to reinvent myself and move on stronger than ever. Update. Thank you once again for all the love and support. It truly brings me comfort and means more than I can express. Interestingly, some people have messaged or commented accusing me of making this story up. As strange as it sounds, that also brings a certain comfort because this entire situation feels so surreal to me too. It reassures me that there are people out there who find it too awful to believe. It makes me wish it really was fake. I've spent so much energy worrying about how everyone else is handling this that I've neglected my own emotions. I'm working on that. Right now, my feelings swing rapidly between rage and numbness, almost like flipping a switch. We're still staying at my brother's house, and thankfully we're safe. He's been incredibly cautious, and his home is very secure with an alarm system and strong locks. Paul continues to call my phone several times a day, but I'm not answering. All communication will go through my attorney from now on. Honestly, I'm scared of him. I feel much safer here. Both Eric and I got checked and tested as a precaution. The rapid results came back clean, and we'll get final confirmation from the lab in the next few days, but I'm not too worried. Eric is set to begin therapy early next week, which is a big relief. He's clearly not himself, quiet and distant. He tends to bottle things up, and it's tough to tell what's going on inside. Still, he's been very caring and thoughtful, asking how I'm doing and checking in. He has no interest in talking to his dad. Paul hasn't tried to contact either of the kids, only me. I can sense that Paul is extremely anxious. He seems terrified, and I believe he knows deep down that if an investigation goes deep enough, he's in serious trouble. That Zoom call still haunts me. The more I reflect on it, the more it seemed like the moment he realized his entire world was crumbling. The fear in his eyes was unmistakable. I offered to set Mary up with a therapist too, but she said she's not ready yet. She's open to the idea in the future, but for now she wants some space. She's been reaching out to her friends to ask if they ever felt uncomfortable around her dad. Sadly, some of their responses were unsettling. A few of her friends admitted that he often stared and made them feel uneasy when they were at our house. One friend even said he looked her up and down, complimented the color of her yoga pants, and seemed to position himself to get a better view of her. At the time, it didn't raise alarms, but in hindsight, it feels deeply inappropriate. He also asked them questions about their friend groups, specifically if they were part of the popular crowd. I'm incredibly ashamed that they had to experience that under our roof. I wanted to give an update on Amy, which is really the main reason I'm writing this. I completely agree with those of you who've pointed out that she's a victim in all of this too. Many people have emphasized that, and I wholeheartedly agree. I've done what I can, within my limits, to try to guide her toward help in subtle ways. As I mentioned before, I informed her mother, who has been keeping me updated on her situation. Unfortunately, Amy is still very much trapped in a false narrative. She refuses to see a doctor or therapist and continues to try reaching out to Paul, convinced they're in love. From what I've been told, he hasn't responded at all, he's actively avoiding her. She blames me for that, believing I took his phone away and that I'm controlling everything. Whenever her mother tries to share the truth with her, Amy responds with hostility and conspiracy theories. She sees me as the villain in all of this and still idolizes Paul. Even when her mom showed her proof, screenshots of his dating app profiles and matches, Amy dismissed it, accusing me of photoshopping them. According to her mother, Amy keeps saying things like, "Everyone's just jealous because I found a real man," and that I'm just bitter because she treats him better than I ever did. It's disturbingly similar to some of the conversations I've seen between her and Paul, especially the ones where he complains about what I supposedly didn't do for him in the bedroom. Amy is absolutely convinced that she and Paul are meant to be and will end up together in the long run. Honestly, it's nauseating, he's a complete scumbag. I really do hope Amy wakes up and sees things clearly someday. But right now, I don't think stepping in directly would help. Maybe someday, but for now, I'm staying hands-off and hoping her mother can keep supporting her. Update. Once again, I want to say how deeply grateful I am for the outpouring of support, it's meant the world to me. Sadly, I've also received a flood of private messages that are negative, accusatory, and in some cases, outright harassing. Apparently, someone commented somewhere that my story had been debunked, and people ran with it. Since then, there's been a noticeable rise in people accusing me of fabricating this for attention or money. To be clear, I've never asked for money or anything in return. I came here out of emotional desperation, never expecting so many people to become invested. But I want to stress again, I'm not trying to gain anything. I have no reason to lie. If someone doesn't believe me, that's their choice, and I truly don't care. All I ask is that they refrain from sending cruel or accusatory messages. The only reason I continue to share updates is because of the kind, supportive people who've lifted me up throughout this. Regarding the divorce, the process is well underway. I won't go into too much detail since things are still unfolding and I want everything to proceed as smoothly as possible. I've been granted temporary custody of Mary, and Paul has been ordered to pay temporary child support. There's also a protective order in place, he is not allowed to contact us or come near us. Right now, our focus is just on navigating this legal process. Without saying too much, I can confidently say that there is a great deal of evidence against Paul that I believe will have lasting legal consequences for him. I know many of you are concerned about his predatory behavior, and though I have to stay vague for now, I believe justice will be served. Your concern for my kid's emotional well-being means more to me than I can say. Eric has already had 2 therapy sessions over the past couple of weeks. Some people thought I was brushing off his struggles, but I assure you, I know he's hurting. We're doing everything we can to make sure he feels safe, supported, and deeply loved. My brother has been an incredible presence for both Eric and Mary. They've opened up to him in ways they haven't with anyone else. His marriage is strong and healthy, and both he and his wife have stepped up in a huge way to help all of us. Mary hasn't started therapy yet, but she has said she'll be open to it soon. Her anger seems to be giving way to sadness now, which I'm keeping a close eye on. I'm hopeful she'll talk to someone soon. Her friends have played a big role in this experience, and she's still processing that as well. I know a lot of people are invested in the well-being of Amy as well. There were a lot of questions about whether Eric and Amy would still see each other at school. It sounded like they go to the same school, but they do not. Eric and Amy went to the same junior high school and knew each other even then, but Amy ended up going to an all-girls Catholic high school while Eric, and Mary too, stayed in the public school system. We all lived in the same town, and over the summer heading into freshman year is when they were getting to know each other and when they started dating. I wish I had a better Amy update, but it's gotten a lot worse since the last update. Paul has actually been seeing Amy, despite her mother trying to force her not to see him. She tells me that Amy says she's 18 and an adult, and she can do what she wants. Her mother is in a precarious spot because if she kicks Amy out of the house for defying her, something that she has threatened to do, which I think is a mistake, she would just run to Paul permanently. The time she spends with Paul has increased over the last week, despite the fact that Paul initially ghosted her when all of this first hit the fan. There were some days where Amy would just be gone for hours on end. There's only so much I could do with the Amy situation, but again, I do believe things will turn around soon with that, given what I know about Paul and what's to come. I can only pray that Amy can get help and guidance when more shit hits the fan. I'm doing everything I can with my own kids and my own mental health, and Amy's mom knows she has my support, and that's all I could really provide. Update. I'm sorry it's taken me this long to share another update. I honestly didn't expect the support to last this long, and I'm incredibly grateful for everyone who's stuck with me. The amount of messages I've received has been overwhelming, and while I haven't been able to respond to them all, please know they mean a lot to me. I wanted to take some time to share how things have been going, both for me and for the kids. For anyone who might be unfamiliar with my story, here's a brief recap. My husband, Paul, had an affair with our son Eric's then 18-year-old girlfriend, Amy. When the truth came out, he completely unraveled. It quickly became clear that this wasn't just a mistake, he had been grooming her for years. I found countless red flags, dozens of saved Instagram photos of her, a hidden folder of BDSM porn, and eventually, chat logs and screenshots of their disturbing messages. The content was graphic, filled with hours-long calls and cruel jokes about me. When I confronted him over Zoom, he completely lost control, sweating, stammering, yelling context over and over again. It was a panic I'd never seen before. I filed for divorce immediately and left with our children, Eric and our daughter Mary. We stayed with my brother while I started putting the pieces together. I spoke with Amy's mom, who confirmed everything. She took Amy's phone and found the proof herself. Amy claimed they were in love and rejected any help. She pushed her family away and insisted I was just bitter and trying to ruin their relationship. Paul initially ghosted her, but they eventually reconnected. Since she was legally an adult, no one could stop her. In the meantime, I got a lawyer and filed for full custody. Paul tried to reach out to me directly, but I cut off communication. We kept moving forward with the divorce while more disturbing patterns surfaced, especially his inappropriate behavior toward Mary's friends. In hindsight, the red flags were everywhere. Both Eric and Mary were deeply affected by all of this. A year later, they're still in therapy, trying to process what happened. Honestly, I'm still trying to process it too. The emotional wreckage Paul left behind is staggering. I don't know if I'll ever fully recover from it. Paul and Amy dated for several months after we started the divorce proceedings. I tried my hardest to keep in touch with Amy's mom to see if there was anything we can do for her to realize Paul's predatory behavior and maybe speak out against him to see if he slept with her or did anything to her when she was younger, but she refused to talk about anything. She was in love still. Just a few weeks before the divorce was supposed to finalize, Paul disappeared. He drained what was left of our shared accounts, what I hadn't already locked down, and left. We found out later that he bought a one-way ticket to Phnom Penh, Cambodia. I had no idea. I got a notification from the financial tracking alert my lawyer set up. That was it. We were close to finalizing everything. I had full custody of Mary. He wasn't contesting anything. Then he stopped replying. Didn't show up to court. Never filed anything. Nothing. It was like he just dissolved. Amy, according to her mother, was devastated and she's completely gone mentally right now. She's basically nomadic, sleeping at friends' homes around the area. Refusing to come home. My lawyer pushed for a default judgment, and the court approved it. So, the divorce is officially finalized. I have full custody of the kids. He's not complying with the support order, but at this point, it doesn't matter, he's gone. Cambodia doesn't have an extradition treaty with the US, nor do they enforce child support. There's no legal way to force him to return or to pay what he owes. We don't even know exactly where he is over there. What truly haunts me is Cambodia's grim reputation when it comes to the trafficking of minors. Eric is now in college. He's kept a clear distance from anything related to Paul. He doesn't talk about it much, but he stays grounded. I know it still affects him, he's just learned to keep it hidden. Mary doesn't say a lot either, but every now and then, she brings up small memories, things that have taken on a different meaning for her now. The other night she asked me if I thought Paul would ever come back. I didn't respond. I don't think she really wanted an answer anyway. As for what Paul's doing in Cambodia, I have no idea. I don't know who he's with or what his life looks like now. Some people have urged me to report him to the FBI or try to initiate an international investigation. I've done what I could. I've made the calls, filed the reports, but there's only so much that can be done when no provable crime has occurred under US law. I don't believe he left the country just to dodge alimony. I believe he's a predator. I believe he's dangerous. That's all I can say for now. There's not much more left to share. I'm still here. My kids are still here. And we're doing our best to move forward. Thank you to everyone who's continued to show support. It really does warm my heart. It means more than I can say.